this fight's been a long time in the making, right?
Yeah, you could say that.
Has it been one you've been anticipating, or is there reached a certain point where you've been thinking about it so much that you're almost like, oh, just don't even put it in front of me anymore?
I thought that after the last one got canceled. I was like, I know they're going to bring Merab's name. I'm going to say no. I'm not going to do it a third time. Like, I've been training for this guy for 4 or 5, 6 months. Like, I don't want to. I want to train for somebody else. You know what I mean? Even if it doesn't mean as much. Even if, like, I don't care. Just give me somebody else. And he was coming to Extreme, and he was training with all my training partners, and they were kind of the ones that talked me into the fight. They were like, "Listen, you should maybe fight this guy." And I'm like, "No, I'm not going to do it. You know, I gotta train for somebody else." They're like, "Dude, you're not going to get another opportunity to fight a guy like this. It's a good stylistic matchup for you. We think, you know, just because you never know. You don't know someone's level until you can see it. You know what I mean? Until they go with guys that you trust." And you know, once he started training with all my training partners, they're like, "Listen, his wrestling's not better than yours. You should fight him." And they were the kind of the ones that talked me into doing it the third time. So here we are.
Damn, he's probably going to hate hearing that, right?
Yeah, I mean, but he had to know that you know, coming into a gym that I've been training at for the last year, that he's going to be, you know, training with all my training partners. And I seen him there. You know, it was weird because, like, maybe a week before we signed the fight, him and I were in the same practice twice. You know, he was sparring the same day I was sparring. I mean, we stayed away from each other, obviously, because we kind of knew this was coming. But, yeah, I've seen him a lot. I've seen him more than I've ever seen any opponent leading up to a fight. So it's been odd, but whatever.
I was going to ask you about that. If it was the most you've seen an opponent, is it a pleasant experience, or just an uncomfortable experience, or outright horrible experience?
Oh no, dude, he's such a nice guy. You know, he's such a humble, nice guy. It's hard to, you know, it'd be way easier for me if he was an asshole. You know, because you know I gotta go kill this guy, and he's a super nice guy. So on a personal level, nothing but respect for Merab. But you know, this is the hurt business. So I don't exactly want to like become friends with him before we fight, because I know that my job is to hurt this guy in every way possible. So yeah, I mean, there's no personal beef between Merab and I, but you know, some of his fans were just ruthless to me. I mean, it's been like I've been harassed almost every fight by, you know, different people, man. But those people really love their athletes, and I respect them for it. But at the same time, man, they have harassed me to the point where I'm like, I'm ready to kill somebody.
When you say harassment, you mean just like the standard Instagram comments on every single thing you do? Or
oh yeah, that and some of the personal stuff. I mean, they took it to a different level. They took it to a place that just never had to go. And you know, I think there's always a line. You know, there's with trash talk. You know, like my line is family. Like you just never cross that line, no matter what. No matter if there's a big opportunity to really piss somebody off, get under their skin. Like I will never ever say anything about someone's family. Never. I will never cross that line, and they crossed it, and that for me is like, you're dead in the water. You know, I'm like kind of an old country boy like that. Like you could pretty much say whatever you want about me. The second you bring my family into it, like I'm a different human. I'm very, very agitated about it.
Are you savoring the moment we get the victory that you can turn around and be like, you did this?
Oh God, yeah. Yeah, I've been thinking about it for a long time. Probably an unhealthy obsession, honest to God. But you know, when I'm put in situations like that, I tend to do my best. You know, in a situation like Brian Kelleher, that was a fight that I took on 2 weeks' notice. I really hadn't been in the gym because of COVID, and they just, you know, they put me in a different place of focus, and you know, I'm able to do a lot in situations like that.
I think with Merab, everyone kind of knows the fighting style he's going to come with, right? It's going to be high-pressure wrestling, grappling, grinding sort of style. Mm-hmm. You've had the scouting reports from your own teammates. How do you see you matching up with that style?
Yeah, you know, I'm an underdog in this fight, which is interesting because I've competed against a lot of high-level wrestlers. You know, I fought Brian Caraway. I fought other guys that are known for being good wrestlers, and I have a lot of wrestling accolades myself, and it's funny. I really think that he's never fought, and everybody says this. Everyone's like, yeah, he's never fought anyone like me. But honest to God, he's never fought anybody with the wrestling accolades that I have. And I've been fighting guys consistently as an underdog my entire fighting career. And if you look at his career, it's like he's fighting guys. I think half his fights were on short notice. Most of them were outside the top 15. I think the only ranked guy he fought was John Dotson, and John Dotson was great in his time, but John Dotson stopped fighting 3 years ago. You know what I mean? We haven't seen John Dotson in the cage in a long time. He shows up, but is he really out there to win? No, I don't think so. I think he's just out there to hopefully land a big shot. So if you look at my path to get here and his path to get here, mine's a lot more treacherous than his.
Is there going to be a moment in the fight, do you think, where he'll go for that takedown, he'll go for that grappling exchange, and you're able to negate it and stop it, and then you're on the feet? And I would say that your striking is probably a little bit better than his, that you're going to just see this moment as like, okay, the fight's mine now.
Yeah, and I think one mistake a lot of guys have made against Merab is they're so terrified of his wrestling that they don't really stand with a guy. They're very cautious, kind of touching, not really trying to commit to anything, because the second you commit to something, he shoots. I'm not really worried about getting in those wrestling exchanges with him. Like, we can wrestle for 15 minutes if he wants. Like, that's fine with me. Like, I don't have to fight Merab on our feet. I can beat him in the wrestling exchanges, and that's the difference between me and the other guys he's fought, is that like, I'm good in those positions. I'm really good in those positions. Like, so I don't think that Merab's going to be able to run 10 takedowns on me. And if he does, I'm getting up 10 times, and it's going to be nasty on our feet. It's just going to make me more tenacious because I know that I'll be behind. I've been wanting to compete for a really long time, like more than maybe I've ever wanted to compete in the UFC. And, I think if Merab and I had fought in December, I think he would have had a distinct advantage in the cardio aspect of the fight, and that's really where he wins. And I knew that going into it. I knew that, in December I had to fight a certain way. I had to slow the fight down. I had to make him fight my fight. But you gave me 6 months to prepare, so knowing that I'm probably fighting Merab, I've done things that, I didn't actually think I was physically capable of doing, 6 months ago. So now I'm in a place where it's like, we can do whatever he wants to do. You know what I mean? If he wants to wrestle for 15 minutes, we can wrestle for 15 minutes. If he doesn't want to shoot and you want to just bang it on our feet, well, I'm game for that too.
I'm looking forward to it, man.
Yep, thank you.
When you mentioned that you did things at this camp that you never did before, or was it something in that time away that made you want to push yourself there, or was it him as an opponent that made you want to push yourself there?
He absolutely elevated me. I mean, just knowing that, after the Rivera fight, a fight that I didn't have more than 2 days to prepare for, you know what I mean? I pretty much went on vacation after I fought Brian Kelleher to, deal with some personal stuff. And then I get a call to fight Frankie Edgar, and I say yes, and so does Jimmy Rivera, and we end up fighting. And Jimmy was never, I wasn't a guy I wanted to fight, especially not on 4 days' notice. Jumping on a plane, going to Abu Dhabi, and fighting, and just not having the gas tank to win, to be competitive. Like, I was tired that whole fight. I was tired the first 2 minutes of that fight, and to be in a fight and be tired is a terrible, terrible experience, because there's shots coming at you, and you don't have the energy to move. You don't have the energy to do the things you need to do to win. And that hurt me. So I was like, listen, this is never ever going to happen again. And then, who do I get next? I get Merab, the guy that is literally known for having some of the best cardio in the UFC, period. So that's when I started pushing myself to an insane level. And I got to a really, really good place in December, but still I believe I would have had a disadvantage. But then, I'm already in great shape. Okay, so now we're going to fight again in March. Okay, so, well, we're just going to get right back to it. And then now I'm going even further. And in March, I was in just amazing shape. I'm like, this is the best I've ever been. I can't get better than this. And the fight doesn't happen, and I'm sitting here like, what the hell? Like, what am I doing? And then I get Merab again. I'm like, well, I'm already in crazy good shape. Let's just build on this. And now I think the fastest mile I ran, just to give like a background, like the fastest mile I ran was like 6:15. I ran like a 4:56. Like, I shaved like a full almost 2 minutes off my mile time just in the 6 months that I've had to prepare. Like, I definitely have the gas tank to do whatever I need to do to win this fight, and I know that, and that's a huge confidence builder going into a fight like someone against Merab.
Is it tough, especially with that much time into a camp, especially when things can go away, to peak too soon?
Yeah, definitely. And I had to like pull myself out of the gym after that one in March got canceled. I had literally had to find something else to do. So, you know, me being the builder, restoration guy that I've always been, you know, that's what I did growing up. I bought an RV and I renovated an RV. Like that was like my time out of the gym, and I've been kind of working on it here and there throughout camp. And that was like something that I did to so that I wasn't plastered in the gym and I wasn't like burning my body to the ground. And it's been good, man. The 2 weeks that I had to recover, it was exactly what I needed. And then this fight camp, you know, I pulled the hard stuff out 3 weeks ago. I mean, I did all my hard workouts months ago, you know, weeks ago. So, I mean, I've been recovering for the last 3 weeks and just focusing on making weight and getting mentally prepared to get in a war with this kid.
And I know you mentioned earlier that you're coming again an underdog, and I know you're just referring to the betting odds, but have you ever went in there against somebody where you've kind of felt internally that you were the underdog coming into it?
Oh, definitely. When I fought Tom Duquesnoy, that was a situation where I didn't know if I could beat him. You know, I'd heard so much about how great he was. I watched his highlights. I was like, wow, this kid he's extraordinary. He's really, really good. I mean, and he's dangerous in situations that, you know, I know that I'm going to be in this fight. And it was like a fight where I went in there just praying for the best. You know what I mean? I did everything to prepare to win, but if I'm being honest, I wasn't sure if I could. And then, you know, there was a point in the fight where I'm like, dude, I'm better than this guy. Like, what am I doing? Like, I got to put it on him. Like, I got to start fighting. And it was like when I was sitting on the bench in between the first and second round, I was like, dude, there's absolutely no reason why I can't whoop this dude. And that was the rest of the fight. You know, the first round was close. The next 2 rounds, I killed him on our feet, between the takedowns, everything. It was an eye-opening moment for me. I'm like, dude, I'm giving these guys way too much credit. And, you know, from here on out, you know, I don't buy the hype anymore. I'm not looking at I talk about the odds, but do I really care? No, I've been an underdog in almost every fight. So, you know, I'm always betting on me to win.
And you kind of answered it there. So that was like a catalyst moment for you at that point.
Yeah.
You never felt or maybe doubted yourself after that point. Going into this camp, did you have any aha moment at some point in this camp where you're just like, wow, all this work is really, I can feel that it's paying off? Did you have some moment at some point where you're just like, guys, we're dialed in, it's going to happen, something big's going to happen?
Yeah, it was just, I added a bunch of wrestling to my regiment, and you know, I did it, and it was horrible at first. You know, I actually enjoy wrestling. I hate wrestling. I did it for so long growing up. I don't want to do it anymore, and I really haven't done it much throughout my MMA career, surprising as that is. But this camp, I really, really focused on it, and I did just miserable wrestling practices twice a week. You know, I've done it for the past 6 months, and it just got to a point where, you know, like I could do this crazy barn burner wrestling practice, and I still felt okay. Like, I would go home, go swimming, you know what I mean? Like, go for a run. Like, I still had energy after that, and it was kind of like, dude, I'm ready. That was the moment, you know what I mean? Just knowing that I could push myself to where I knew this fight would go, because honestly, I wasn't really sure. I really thought that I had to fight one certain style, you know, because I'm a super tactical guy. I like to think about, you know, the best ways to win, and that's kind of what's gotten me to the show. And I'm at a point now, it's like, dude, I'm ready for anything. Like, let's just get in there and let's get in there and make an extra 50 grand. Like, because Merab and I definitely have the styles to do that.
Just a couple last ones. I guess in this time away, you know, it definitely gave you a lot of time to prepare, and you've grown leaps and bounds in terms of yourself. What's been the most frustrating thing that's in this time away of waiting to get back in there? Oh,
I mean, sitting here talking to you guys and then not fighting, was frustrating in March. That was painful. You know, fight day, you already weighed in. You're there. You're ready. You're mentally. You're focused. Everything is right, exactly the way it should be. I felt great, and then just having the rug pulled. That was frustrating. That was hard, and that was the hardest thing about the whole deal. You know, I want to compete. You know, I want to show people how hard I've been working. I want the opportunities, to make money, to further my career, and to not have that opportunity that time was insanely frustrating. You know, because I've never weighed in and been, on deck to fight, and then had the rug pulled. That was frustrating. But I mean, like anything else, I'll figure it out.
And then something that somebody mentioned earlier, and you had talked about Twitter and how sometimes people can push it and go over the line. Earlier, Dom Reyes was saying he kind of just stayed away from social media for this camp. Have you ever considered doing the same sort of thing? And what are your thoughts on that as for if that could be beneficial or not?
Yeah, I think it is beneficial. I really haven't been paying attention to it the last couple of weeks, just because I just don't need anything negative in my mind right now. But it's also very motivating. Sure. You know what I mean? If you're banged up and you don't really want to go to practice, and you get on Instagram and someone's ragging on you about this or that, it's like I have like a just chip on my shoulder. Like, I'm gonna show you, dude. Like, I'll see you. Bring that energy after the fight, and then we'll see what you have to say.
And then lastly, I'm sure you played this fight out multiple ways through your head. What needs to happen to make sure you get your arm raised at the end of the night?
I just got to show up at this point. I just got to show up to the cage. I've done everything to prepare. I've been in all the bad positions. I know what to do. I just got to show up. I mean, that's the story of my fighting career. If I show up, I win. And that's it. I just got to be there physically and mentally on fight night.